Hello, we will begin the session in about a minute or two. We'll just wait for more people to join. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Any Leute immer muted. Hello, I see we have 4 attendees here. Can anybody hear me?
Somebody's, oh, I see George Young, you're raising your hand. So, okay, we're waiting for Sagi here. His laptop crashed at a perfect time. So he's right now restarting his machine, and hopefully it's gonna be there soon. For now, we just have to be patient here. I see Hitoshi is also here. So as I just said, his machine is about to start, so I'm asking for a bit more of patience. Okay, Damon, I think you just joined the meeting here. We are waiting for Sagi Reuven here, as he needed to reboot his laptop, so we're gonna start very soon.
של OpenLM צריך להיות לי את המכונה הכי מהירה. Okay.
Okay, so I'm giving this to Sagi now.
Okay, so I am very sorry. I had some technical issues. So one moment, just let me share my screen here. אתה פרזנטור.
פרזנטור?
יכול להעביר את זה אליי?
אני יכול לסגור את זה פשוט.
סגור את זה.
אבל אז...
אתה עושה choose פרזנטור.
אין וובינר פורום?
כן. לא. Okay, so there we go. I am sorry for the technical difficulties. My computer just decided to freeze up completely. I guess he was a bit shy. So, okay, thank you for joining us for this webinar. On this webinar, we will be going over some of the core functionality and some of the extensions of OpenLM. I will show you the main reports of OpenLM, which create the OpenLM Core functionality. And also, I will show you the extensions that we have. So I know that most of you are clients that do have OpenLM already. So I will skip the whole introduction and simply show you a few things on a live system. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about OpenLM. For whoever is not up to date, so OpenLM allows you to get a complete picture of what's going on with your licenses in all your system. So if you have more than one license server, you have 200, no problem. You can track all of them in one place. Now, OpenLM gives you a bird's eye view of the past, present, and future, meaning that it shows you statistical analysis, it shows you current status, and it also shows you predictions regarding how many licenses you actually need. So you probably all know this screen by now, which is the license server screen. This window shows you what's going on right now, meaning it shows you that you have this and this amount of licenses, that you have these and these users using it. For example, I have here 13 users which are using the application. I have Ben here, Charles, Margaret. I see which group they're from, what they're using, and so on. Now I see the amount of licenses as well. I see I have 15 licenses out of 3. 13 used out of 15 right here. I have available 2. And if I click here, I can see the procurement information of the license. So this gives you an idea of what's going on right now with your licenses, but it doesn't give you a good idea of, well, what happened yesterday, how many licenses you need, what's going on in general. So for that, we have the license usage report, which shows you how far you are actually from maxing out your licenses. So if we take a look at this report, we see that on the top here is of course the license quantity line, which is the amount of licenses that you have. And on the bottom, you got the concurrent usage line. This shows you how many licenses are being used concurrently. So for example, here you see that it was very underused, while here it was almost maxed out. It was used almost to 100% capacity. Now this data can be shown also as a heat map, with each day having being a box in the heat map, or it can even show the hours within the day. So for example, this heat map shows us that weekends are pretty empty of usage, and during the week we have 5 days where it starts from 7 until about 5, where most of the licenses are taken. So the licenses that got maxed out, after licenses get maxed out, users start getting denied. So for that, we have the denials report, which shows you the amount of denials that you had in a certain period, and you can aggregate it however you want. Here it's aggregated by user, Here it's aggregated by different group. You can even aggregate it by an hour. So I see that this was the most denied hour. OpenLM also shows you true denials. A true denial means that, let's say that your engineer tried to pull a license, was denied from one server, but a second after he did get the license. So the first denial is not a true denial. You don't want to see that because it skews the results. And of course that this can be viewed as a pie chart, as a line chart, as a table, whatever you choose. So this is great. It shows you, as we've seen, what's going on right now with your licenses, your whole system. It shows you how far you are from maxing out the license, what happened after you actually maxed out the license. And now I want to show you that OpenLM can tell you exactly how many licenses you need. So what is this report? This is the utilization report. If you go to management license utilization, you were able to see it there. It's one of our less known reports, but one of our most powerful reports. So this graph shows you the amount of time in percentage that each license, concurrent license level was used. For example, only one license used was like 84% of the time. 29 licenses, for example, is like 10% of the time. Now, as you see, the 1 is encapsulated inside the 2, and this is encapsulated inside the 3. This is why you see it dropping like this, because it's aggregated. I can show it unaggregated, but then you understand a lot less about this. So why is this good? Because it enables you to show a quality of service line. What is quality of service? So let's say that you're okay with the fact that 95% of your users, 95% of the times users will get the license. 5% of the times they will get denied. So if you're okay with that, and 5% of the times that users will get denied, then you only need 45 licenses. You have 70 licenses right here. If I want, for example, even 90%, let's say I'm okay with 10% of the times they get denied, then I need only 30 licenses. Now, that's a huge reduction. That's less than half of the licenses you need. So next time that you go to buy and purchase more licenses, you have power when confronting the vendor. You'll know exactly how many licenses you need. No one can tell you otherwise. So if we try to take a look at it from another angle, then we can use the licenses not in use report, which this report shows you which licenses and which features are not used. For example, I have Navisworks here, and I see that it was never used. So next time that I go to buy, to purchase new licenses, then I'd know not to buy the package that has Navisworks. I'll try to buy a better package that holds fewer features and holds all the features that I need without Navisworks, for example, which is something that I'm not using. You can know also which version of which applications are not actually used. So for example, here 2014 is barely used. So these two reports, they give you a lot of information and gives you a lot of power when confronting the vendor and even confronting your own engineers. Project managers that come up to you and say, I need 100 licenses, I need this, I need that, I need floating licenses, I need named licenses. So now you'd know that, well, you don't need 100, you can do with 30. or you can come up to the vendor that tries to sell you 100 licenses, and you can tell him, well, I have this report. It shows me that I only need 30 licenses. So I'm gonna buy maybe 5 more just in case, but I don't need any more than that. So this is a powerful tool, these two reports. And as you see, OpenLM, just in a few 5-6 reports, you've seen everything that you pretty much need in order to understand what's going on with your system and have an educated decision when going to purchase more licenses. So the last thing that I want to show you in the OpenLM Core product is the license activity report. License activity report, it's a way for the client to consolidate usage by any column, by any field that it chooses. For example, right here you can see that it's aggregated by the group. So each group has its total usage time in hours right here. You can also aggregate it by users, by feature, by server, project, workstation, whatever you choose. But if you do it by group or project, then you'll be able to do chargeback billing or group billing. For example, you want to bill different countries according to their usage. So I'm not going to go deeper into the OpenLM Core product because I want to also go over the extensions that OpenLM has. So before I move on, I just wanted to do a quick recap. So as you see here, first of all, you can know what's going on right now with your system. Second, you can know how far you are from maxing out your licenses. You can know what's going on after you've maxed out your licenses. You can know how many licenses you need in order to not max out your licenses, or even know if you're overspending or underspending on licenses. And you can know also what you're not using in the entire system. Now, this can happen not using a feature. It can happen when a feature is bought for a project, for example, but is not used. So the feature is still floating in some license pool. And next purchase, because unwittingly they buy more licenses for that feature because they don't know if it was used, if it was not used. So long finished projects still have licenses that are being bought again and again. And lastly, it shows you the core product, shows you consolidation of usage per the column that you choose, per the dimension that you need, per user, per group, vendor, whatever you choose. Now I want to move on to the OpenLM extensions and show you a few extensions that OpenLM has and explain exactly how it helps you to have more managerial capabilities in OpenLM and also save money and increase your utilization as a result. So first of all, I just want to say OpenLM is an enterprise-ready application. What makes it an enterprise-ready application is a few extensions that we have. First and foremost, OpenLM can connect to the external database you have, MySQL or MS SQL, meaning a SQL Server. The OpenLM system can also integrate with your Active Directory. With the Active Directory, you'll be able to group users and pull them from the Active Directory into the OpenLM system. So I just want to quickly show you the Active Directory extension, where right here you see that under this node, I want to pull all the users, and I can either pull them into a flat group, and I don't know, call the group GRR. I can pull all the users in a hierarchy, meaning that the OUs become groups, security groups become groups, and so on. Or I can just use a user attribute, for example, department. So everyone with department sales will be a part of group sales. Same for marketing, same for support. You can do this by any attribute in the Active Directory, company, department, whatever you choose. Now, once you got all your users in OpenLM from the Active Directory, you probably also got their passwords, logins, and all the details that will allow them to access the OpenLM system using Windows authentication. Now, this is another thing that makes OpenLM enterprise ready, as everybody can connect using their own Windows authentication, IIS authentication, to connect to the OpenLM. The last thing that makes OpenLM enterprise ready is the roles and permissions extension. The roles and permissions extension allows you to set different resources to be viewed by different users of OpenLM. For example, users from USA, you can restrict them to only see USA servers. Or you can set up admin accounts where the admin can see everything in OpenLM, and a management account where management can only see a certain report because they don't care about the other stuff. Or maybe you just want some end users to be able to see a single report or maybe a single server, whatever you choose. So if we go, for example, let's go inside a group role Asia, and we see the resources right here. So these resources we can just pick and choose and allow and deny the resources from the groups. So I can add different groups in there, I can add different users in there, and I can take different resources and deny them from that group. Moving on to the next extension of OpenLM. So we've talked about the LDAP extension. We've talked about the roles and permission extension, Windows authentication, and external database. All things that pretty much all organizations, big organizations mainly, they things that they use. The Active Directory, most organizations we know, most of our clients, this is what they use. They use the Active Directory. They don't use, they usually use MySQL and so on. Now, the next extension allows for more managerial capabilities. It's called the Alerts extension, the Alerts Management extension. So if we go to Administration, Alert Management, then we'll be able to see all the different alerts that OpenLM enables you to get notified on. For example, you can get notified when a licensed server is not responding, for example. You've got a licensed server down, then you can get notified by SMS, by email. You can just show an alert right here, or you can even run a broker command on the license manager itself. For example, license server not responding, start server. So the other condition that you can set is user percentage over a certain amount. Here it's 90%, but you can set it to whatever you choose. This means that the license is getting to a point where it's about to max out. The license is stressed. It's about above 90% usage. So if it's about 90% usage, you'd probably want to release some licenses, close some applications, close some workstations, whatever you choose, whatever you do when you have licenses that are about to be maxed out. You can get also notified when a duplicate license is used. Duplicate license means that let's say I open AutoCAD twice on the same machine. So it's one person taking up two licenses. So you can get notified on this instance. You can get notified before your license is expired. Here it's 14 days, but you can put whatever you want. So like a month before the license expires, you can get notified about it and do something about it. Users not in a group and not in a project. Now, if you have all your users coming from your Active Directory and everybody is inside a group, then you should not have any user not grouped, meaning that this is an unauthorized usage. This is usage not coming from the Active Directory. It's not usage, it's usage that you need to check. You need to check it out. Who is using the OpenLM system and your licensing system in an unauthorized manner? So you can also get notified when a usage period goes over a certain amount. So here it's set to 600 minutes. Now you can set it to anything, but this will notify you once a user has gone over a certain threshold. So here, let's say that after 12 hours of session duration, well, you want to get notified about it because 12 hours, it means that that the user is no longer there. He went home, maybe he's in a meeting, maybe just forgot it open. So he will also be able to get notified as well as you. So you can get notified that the user has been using for over 12 hours, and he will get notified with a message saying, hey, you've been using for more than 12 hours. Please remember to close the application when you go home, to save and close the application. And lastly, we got the maximum number of denials in a period. Why is that good? Well, let's say that all your license servers are up, everything seems to be okay, but people start getting denied, and you got some a high number, like maybe you got 100 denials in a period of 10 minutes, and it's not something normal. That means that something is wrong. The license manager might be up, everything might be up and connected, but people cannot get a license, meaning that the license has probably expired, or maybe there's something wrong with the license, or maybe any other issue that you want to check out. So users getting denied over a certain threshold will notify you about this. Moving on to the next extension is the options file management. Now, you probably know about options file, which is the FlexLM file, which allows you to include users into groups, exclude them from using a certain license, reserve certain licenses for them. So usually there's someone in the organization that simply creates that file manually. Now let me show you a file like the one usually done manually. So you can see right here, it's pretty confusing. It has a lot of text. It's very prone to errors because it depends what comes before what. For example, exclude needs to be only after the group and not before that. So there are a lot of little differences and little syntax errors that can occur. Even if you change a letter here, instead of an E, it was an A, so it was not the same user, meaning that you'll compile a user that does not exist. So these errors, they happen all the time with the FlexLM options files. Mostly, you don't know that it happened, that it failed. So OpenLM allows you to create this options file using this interface simply by selecting groups, checking them, and that's it. Let me show you how easy it is to create or to add to the options file using the options file management of OpenLM. So let's choose tracking, for example, and let's add a group to it. So let's say that I want all USA development groups. I want them excluded from using tracking, for example, so they won't be able to pull this license. So I'll just click save right here, give it a second, and once we click on the preview, we're able to see that we excluded Group USA Development from using tracking feature. So once I click deploy, it will deploy the changes to the license server remotely. So this is a very powerful tool that allows you to set different criteria on your FlexLM license managers without having to make syntax mistakes. It's easy as you see it. Just clicked here, clicked there, and that's it. No need to input dry text. So if you have a lot of options file, this can be a lifesaver. If you have few, it can save you a few headaches. So next, I want to show you the OpenLM Agent, and I want to show you what it can do. Now, the OpenLM Agent has a few tiers of operation. So it has 4 tiers of operation. First is the core operation. A part of the core product, if you install the OpenLM Agent on the workstation, what do you get? So this is a workstation I have here. And in this workstation, I have an agent installed. Now you can even remove this icon so users will not be able to see it. But what does this give me as a user? First of all, it gives me the license usage information screen, meaning that the end user is able to see that, okay, I need ArcGIS Publisher, but I see that total are 15 and used 14. So I have one left. Okay, I can get it, no problem. But if it's maxed out, so you can click on it, go inside it, and see who is actually using. I see Cooper, I see Emma, Sydney, and they can pretty much discuss between themselves. They can get the details of that user and just call up that user and tell him that, hey, I see that you've been using AutoCAD or ArcGIS for like 10 hours or something. So if you don't mind, please release it because I need it. So they can pretty much work it out for themselves. The second thing that you get for the first tier of the OpenLM agent is the fact that the users can get notified when a license has become available. Let's say that I'm an engineer and I tried to pull a license of AutoCAD, but I got denied. So usually, what should I do? Well, I will try every few minutes. I will try to open AutoCAD again and again and again and again and again. Meanwhile, I'm doing only that. I'm wasting a lot of time. So the OpenLM agent is able to notify me, meaning the end user, that the license has become available. A license that you were denied, it has become available. So then they can get denied and just go off, do other things, work on another application, do other stuff, and they get notified and know that they can pull the license again. They can try, and now they will get the license. Now this was the second tier, and it's the free tier. It's a part of the OpenLM Core product. If you have the Core product, you have that. You simply need to install the OpenLM Agent on the workstations. The OpenLM Agent can be pushed from a central server into the workstations themselves. So you can simply use a silent rollout or a GPO rollout and just roll the OpenLM agent to all the users, and they won't even know that it's installed there. Moving on to the second tier of the OpenLM agent is the fact that it can give you the idle time of the sessions. Meaning that, let's say that I am a user, I opened AutoCAD, but then I went on a meeting, or I went home, or maybe I'm just on Facebook. So you can get a detailed view of what's going on with your licenses, what's going on after they've been checked out. Because if they're checked out, you see, okay, they're checked out, it's under use, but not really. They can be just checked out but not used. For example, in my previous job, I came in the morning, I pulled a Chromeleon license, and I just kept it for days on end, maybe weeks on end, because then I could get denied if I put it back. So this way, with the OpenLM agent, you can find these users who just pull the license and do nothing, or maybe pull the license and forgot to return the license, forgot to check it in. So you can get all those users, you can see what their idle time is, and you'll be able to act accordingly. For example, I see that someone has 10 hours of idle time. Well, 10 hours of idle time means that, well, he's not there. I can close his workstation, or maybe I can talk to him to tell him that, well, I've seen that you had like 10 hours of idle time. Please remember to close the application when you go home. So as you see right here, we have started to get idle time. Now the idle time is taken for AutoCAD right here if it's not using a lot of CPU. If it's not going over the CPU threshold, the I/O operations, then the OpenLM system takes it as being idle if it does not go over the threshold. So it can be minimized, it can be behind something, it can be open but just not working with it. The OpenLM agent will know. Now, once you get a idle time for the application, and you know that, well, this user has been idle for like, I don't know, 5 minutes. So you don't always know who that user is exactly, because sometimes it's spread all over the world. You have centers in Canada, you have in the USA, you have in China, whatever. So you'll be able to see who is using the application and who is not using really the application. You can even see it as a chart right here, and you see that we have like 2 minutes of idle time. And the next tier allows you to do something about it. So you see that he has like, I don't know, 10 hours of idle time. Well, you can close his application. Just click here, click yes, and after about 2 minutes, the application will be closed. For example, you see the AutoCAD right here. I click the close app. The request needs to go to the license manager, needs to go to the agent, and then I don't know if you've seen that, but the AutoCAD has been closed automatically because I clicked here, Close App on the interface. So the user himself got this message. On the right here, you can see that OpenLM Agent has recently closed AutoCAD.exe at system administrator's request. So this can be done either by the admin, as you've seen now, or by an idle time threshold. The idle time threshold is something that you can set to tell the OpenLM system, well, release licenses that have been idle for more than, let's say, 2 hours. So it can be done automatically. The system will recognize an idle session that goes over 2 hours or something and just closes the application. Now, when I say closes the application, there are a few options here. First, it can simply close the application and save the project. So if they started a new project, it will save it in the temp folder, but if they're on an existing project, then it will simply save it to the existing project. Now, the save and close option is only for MATLAB, ArcGIS, Autodesk, and SolidWorks. If you have FlexLM, but it's not one of those, for example, you have NX application, then you can use the suspension method. The suspension method releases the license and suspends the process. So if the user tries to reopen the process, he will not be able to do that because it will be frozen. Only if there are licenses available, then he will be able to unfreeze his application and get a license back. So it's pretty much the same thing, but the application is not closed, it's simply being frozen. Now, there's another option besides closing the application or suspending the application. If it's not one of the big four, as I mentioned, and it's not a FlexLM license manager, let's say it's a DSLS or it's an RLM or whatever, then you can use the agent to create certain procedures to either kill the process itself, so the process of the application will be killed, but data will not be saved. The process can be suspended. Again, the data will not be saved. Or you can run a custom command on the end user workstation. For example, you can run a custom command that says, simply opens up a notification saying that, hey, you've been using for too long. Please put back your license, or something like that. So it's pretty much endless of what you can do with it because it's just a simple CMD script. You can input whatever you want. So again, to recap, if you want to close idle sessions, you'll need the save and close. If you have ArcGIS, MATLAB, Autodesk, or SolidWorks, then you can use the save and close, or you can use the suspension if it's FlexLM, or you can use the procedure if it's any other license manager. Now, these are 3 tiers of the OpenLM agent. The 4th tier is joined with the app manager. Now, what is the app manager? Well, you probably have different pools of licenses. In your organization, there can be floating licenses, named licenses, node locked licenses, any type of licenses basically. So OpenLM basically helps you with the floating licenses, but what about the named licenses? What about the node locked licenses or the single use licenses? You want also to be able to track those. So the OpenLM App Manager allows you to do just that. So if you take a look here inside my App Manager configurations, you can see that I have Photoshop, Autodesk, PZip, Visual Studio, Power BI. Now, some of these have both floating licenses and named licenses, like Autodesk, for example. Some of these, they don't use a license at all. It's just an application that you buy, and you have to buy an application for each user, like Photoshop. Or maybe it's just a small software like Power BI or PZip that do not use that is totally free and do not use any licensing at all. So you can get your whole licensing system right here in the App Manager. Floating licenses, node lock licenses, named licenses, whatever, all of them together, or you can separate them. Now, why is that good? Why should we have monitoring for both floating licenses and named licenses? Named licenses is for someone, one user, one license, that's it. Yeah, but you can save money because let's say that you have 5 named licenses and 100 floating licenses. You got most of your users that are not using the named license at all. So those users, let's say that they use 1 hour a week, 1 hour a day, 1 day a week. They don't use it all that much. So you can take them out of the named license and put them into the floating license pool. Now this will increase your utilization because you can take the same named license and give it to someone that was in the floating license pool but has been using for like 6, 7, 8, 10 hours a day. So it will be more beneficial to give him a named license as it is cheaper. So this way you can mix and match different users and different license types and get the most optimal result that you want. So the App Manager not only can track those applications, it can also set different rules for opening those applications. For example, you can see a rule here for time after 8, time before 9. This means that I can set, for example, different working hours in different zones in the world. For example, I can allow only USA to work with the application only under USA working hours, China only under China working hours, and prevent them from overlapping using this. So I want to show you the App Manager and what it can do. So as you see, I have many conditions here, time condition, if it's before or after a certain time, if the application is, for example, Autodesk or whatever you choose, if the version is a certain version, for example, you bought version 2019, and you don't want people to keep using 2017. So this is a way to prevent them from using that. You can add a group, a vendor. Let me show here by time, by application, by group, by version. So for example, you can say that group USA will be denied from using the application, the Autodesk 2017 application, and can only use 19, or are denied from using any application not in their working hours. So let me show you. We have the Autodesk right here. So this rule normal USA working hours rule, it says if the application is Autodesk and if the version is 2017 and if the time is after 8 a.m. and if the time is before 9 a.m. So deny the usage. So let's go to the workstation right here, and I'll try to open AutoCAD. So what do I get? I get a message popping up telling me that application AutoCAD cannot be launched. It says that access was denied due to the normal USA working hours rule. Now if I allow it and go back here, now I should be allowed and not denied. So I can double click, and as you see, Autodesk is opening. Now the last extension that I want to show you is the Reporting Hub extension. So while it is loading up, I would like to explain a little bit about what is the Reporting Hub extension. So experienced OpenLM users, they sometimes find that the embedded reports of OpenLM are just not enough. That they need added fields, that they need more reports, that they need to calculate different fields from the reports. Sometimes they feel that they pretty much need more out of the reporting capabilities of OpenLM. So the reporting hub allows you to create your own reports. You'll be able to take the fields and calculate and create new fields upon those calculations. You'll be able to add different columns into the BI system that you use. So how does it work? The reporting hub is mainly a data engine that gets data from the OpenLM database and deposits it in a reporting database. And that reporting database can be read by any BI tool. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, if I connect with the BI tool to the reporting database, why can't I connect to the source database, the OpenLM database? Well, because the OpenLM database, it's not structured for a human. It's structured for the Easy Admin interface, for the OpenLM interface, which does most of the post-processing. That means that you won't find in the OpenLM database, you won't find most of what you're looking for. For example, concurrent usage, you won't be able to find that there. Usage time, you won't be able to find that. Also, the OpenLM source database has like 116 different tables. Most of them are not to be used at all, are just used by the system itself. So you can pretty much lose your hands and feet doing that. So the reporting hub creates a database, a reporting database that has a structure which is the industry standard. It's a measure and dimension structure. It has all the different measures that you can think of. For example, session duration, denials, idle time, concurrent usage, license quantity, and it has all the dimensions that you probably are looking for. User, project, package, everything about the license, the group, the time. So here you can see Power BI, which is a BI tool used on the OpenLM reporting hub, on the reporting database. And let's first take a look at what is the structure that we get. So right here on the right, you can see the structure, and it's pretty easy, it's pretty self-explanatory for its dimensions and measures. For example, user dimension. has inside all the details about the user department, username, source, title, email, everything. For example, license has the license feature, license server, license vendor, everything. These are dimensions. And measures are what you actually measure. For example, denials or session duration or concurrent usage and so on. So here you can see a report, a dashboard that was created in about 10 minutes. It's because it's a drag and drop interface. Most of the BIs are drag and drop interface. It's so easy to create different reports in the OpenLM Reporting Hub system. So as I said, here it's done with Power BI. This is a default BI that we use. And I just want to create with you in a minute or two, we'll try to create a new report. So let's say that we want to see a bar chart of the all the users, and I just go to user dimension, username, just drag username inside, that's it. Let's say that I want to know the session duration per user. So I go to session duration measure, go to usage time, and just drag it inside. That's it. And now you see that I've created a report in a matter of seconds. I just dragged and dropped, and that's it. I can even filter it. I can even drill up or drill down, meaning that I can take the group, put it here, and now I'm able to see inside a certain group. So let's say that I want to drill down inside this group and see which users are using inside it. I can even go deeper and get the workstation and see which workstation he's been working on. And this can go deeper and deeper, and you can drill down and drill up and filter and create different visualizations. For example, bar charts, heat maps, just about everything. And you can create reports that fit management, that fit the technical level, fit operational level, whatever you choose. And you can do it really simple, real quick. You can also create new measures. For example, you see here, this is pretty much an Excel function like sum this minus sum that. That's pretty much an Excel function, and this creates a new measure which can be used in the reports. So for example, you want to know the utilization, then you just grab the concurrent usage, divide it by the license quantity, and that's it. You got the utilization. You want to add your own column, you're also able to add your own column. For example, you can add pricing to each feature. So this is another way for you to use this BI. So I'm not going to go any deeper into it, but this is pretty much all the extensions, some of the core functionality of OpenLM. Now, we're about out of time. I'm not going to say any more about it. But if you have any questions or anything, you can simply ask using the GoToWebinar chat. I will unmute you all as well, so you'll be able to ask via your microphone. And I'll stay here for the next few minutes if you guys have any questions. If not, then thank you very much for your time. I hope that this was informative.